Sure, some people did, but most knew better. What does that mean? Most knew better. That means most of the people thought that the earth was round. Anyway, sorry for that digression. What is digression? Digression is when you talk about a different thing than the topic, all right? For a while, okay? That's digression. Okay, now both geocentricism and heliocentrism were proposed by the ancient Greek. Were proposed. What does that mean? Propose. Propose means to suggest something for people to talk, to think about, or make a decision upon. All right. By the ancient Greeks. Okay. What is Greeks? What is Greek? Greek is the people who lived in Greece, or who lived in ancient Greece. Okay. However, the majority of ancient Greeks subscribed to the geocentric model. However, what does that mean? However, you use it when you want to say something contrasting, which is different from what you have just said, and it's similar to but. But the majority of ancient Greeks, majority, what's that? Hold on. Majority means a lot, okay? And it means more than half, okay? A lot of the ancient Greeks subscribed to, what does that mean, subscribe? Subscribe means, if you subscribe to a belief or an idea, you have that idea or a belief, okay? What does sub mean? Sub means under, all right? And scribe means to write. So subscribe means put your name under. That means that you have that idea or the belief. Subscribe to the geocentric model. What is a model? Model is something that represents something else, okay? To explain what it's like, all right, or how it works. So in this case, this model is a theoretical description explaining what something is like or how the thing works, okay? This included, by the way, Aristotle and Ptolemy. This included, what does include mean? Include means have something as its part, okay? By the way, what does that mean? By the way, you use this expression when you want to talk about what you have just thought of, and it might or might not be connected to what you have been saying, okay? Aristotle, what's that? Aristotle is a famous Greek philosopher, okay? And he worked on politics, astronomy, and mathematics. What else? Ethics, rhetorics, and a lot of different studies, okay? And Ptolemy, and he was the student of Plato, and he was the teacher of Alexander the Great, all right? And he had a lot of authority in the past, okay? Because he was a great scholar. Ptolemy is also a Greek philosopher, okay? Astronomer, okay? Basically, they believed the sun, moon, planets, and other stars all revolved around Earth. Basically, what does that mean? Basic means simple and important, all right? They believed the sun, moon, planets, and other stars all revolved around Earth. Sun, moon, planets. What's a planet? planet is a large round object which goes around the sun, okay? And the stars all revolved around Earth. Revolve means what? Go around, alright? So let's go to the next part.
All revolved around Earth. This essentially became, shall we say, orthodox thinking for almost 2,000 years. After all, who was going to challenge Aristotle in terms of scientific knowledge? No one, right? Thus, it wasn't until the 16th century that anyone began seriously to challenge the geocentric theory. The first person to state that the sun was at the center of the solar system was Nicholas Copernicus. He presented a mathematical formula that showed Earth orbited the sun, not the other way around. Well, Johann Kepler took Copernicus's work and expanded upon it. Finally, Galileo Galilei used his telescope to further confirm that the heliocentric model was correct.
Okay. What is this part about? This part is about what? A lot of people have believed in geocentric model for a long time, 2,000 years. But people started thinking differently in the 16th century, since the 16th century, okay? And the people who thought differently was Nicolaus Copernicus and Johannes Kepler, and who else? Galileo Galilei, all right? And these kind of people suggested what? Heliocentric model. This essentially became, shall we say, orthodox thinking for almost 2,000 years. This essentially, what does that mean, essential? Essential means extremely important. Orthodox thinking. What is orthodox? Orthodox is the belief that most of the people accept, right? For almost 2,000 years. After all, who was going to challenge Aristotle in terms of scientific knowledge? After all, what does that mean? It means in the end, okay? Who's going to challenge? Who was going to challenge? What is challenge? Challenge is question. Question the authority of Aristotle in terms of scientific knowledge. What does that mean, in terms of? In terms of means regarding, right? Means when we deal with this, okay? No one, right? Thus, it wasn't until the 16th century that anyone began seriously to challenge the geocentric theory. Thus, what does that mean? Thus is the formal form of so. So it's the same as so, and it's the same as therefore. Therefore, thus means so. So it wasn't until the 16th century that anyone began seriously to challenge the geocentric theory. What does that mean? It wasn't until the 16th century. That means they finally began to begin that in the 16th century, okay? Challenge the geocentric theory. The first person to state that the sun was at the center of the solar system was Nicolaus Copernicus. The first person to state that. What does state mean? State means to say something formally or definitely, okay? The sun was at the center of the solar system was Nicolaus Copernicus. He presented a mathematical formula that showed Earth orbited the sun, not the other way round. Okay? Nicolaus Copernicus is a Nicolaus Copernicus is a Polish astronomer, okay? You see that? He presented, what does present mean? Present means to give information formally, okay? A mathematical formula. What does mathematical mean? Means involving numbers or calculating, okay? A mathematical formula. What's that? Formula is the series of actions that you take, okay, to get a result, or it's a combination of letters, numbers, or other symbols that presents a mathematical or scientific rule, okay? Formula is, what is the plural of formula? Formulae, okay? Or you can say formulas, both. That show the Earth orbited the Sun. What does orbit mean? Orbit means to go around continuously, a curved path, all right? Going around. The Earth orbited the Sun, not the other way around. What does that mean? That means not the Sun orbiting the Earth. That's what not the other way around means. Well, Johannes Kepler took Copernicus's work and expanded upon it. Johannes Kepler. Johannes Kepler is a German, okay, astronomer who discovered an idea, a theory of how the planets move, okay? Took Copernicus's work and expanded. Took the work and expanded. What does expand mean? Expand means to make something larger. So in this case, it means to go further with his theory. Finally, Galileo Galilei used his telescope to further confirm that the heliocentric model was correct. Finally, Galileo Galilei, who's that? This is a astronomer, mathematician of Italy. Okay, he's Italian, and he was forced by Inquisition, okay, to take back his support for Copernicus. Okay, he used his telescope. What is a telescope? Telescope means a long instrument looking like a tube, and it has lenses inside it, and it makes a distant object appear nearer or closer to you, okay? What does tele mean? Tele means far away. Television means you can see things far away. Vision means what you see, okay? Scope. What is scope? Scope is a device that you can see with. Okay. To further confirm, what does further mean?